Right now on News 3, as Madison works to rid the city of a nuisance, why some say the way it's being done is inhumane.
And why the Salvation Army of Dane County says it's in desperate need for volunteers.
This is News 3 at 6.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Animal rights activists are already planning for next year, trying to figure out a way to stop the city of Madison from rounding up and killing Canada geese at Madison parks.
Just 2 weeks ago, almost 130 geese were euthanized as a way to manage the population. Amanda Quintana is live at Lake Wingrow with the details. Amanda?
Yes, well, although many people that I spoke to today were not aware of this, it's been happening since 2011. Every year, less geese are killed, and this year, 80 less than last year were rounded up. But for animal lovers, that number is still too many. Kathleen Miller and her granddaughters are used to seeing geese at Madison parks.
Mostly there's like the goslings, which are kind of cute because we get to see them like really close up.
Unaware that the city believes there are too many.
They just pretty much leave you alone. They kind of tend to mind their own business.
They didn't realize today there are 128 fewer geese than there were 2 weeks ago. Because for the 8th year in a row, Madison Parks contracted with a division of the U.S. Department of Agriculture to round up Canada geese from multiple parks, then gas and kill them. A way to manage the impact on water quality, aesthetics, safety of aircrafts, and disruption of park activities.
You know, when Eric told me, I cried. It was tragic. And so, and very unnecessary.
The new executive director of Alliance for Animals didn't even know this was happening until recently. But no matter what she and thousands of members tried, she couldn't stop it.
We've offered volunteers to clean up and to drive the trucks and to buy the equipment. There's really no excuse for it.
Before rounding them up, the city worked to plant high grass near the water, oiled 50 egg nests in the spring to curb reproduction, and harassed them with lights and decoys. Animal rights activists say that should have been enough.
There are lots of different ways that work far better than just killing them.
And even though it happens each summer for families just finding out about this practice, it's shocking.
It's really upsetting to me. You know, I would think maybe they could be released in a natural habitat or something other than killing them. I think it's really sad.
In a statement from Madison Parks, they said the approach is working relatively well. Areas that had too many geese have stabilized, and they say if all goes well in the future, they might not have to do those roundups, but just in certain locations.
Amanda Quintana reporting tonight. Amanda, thank you.
A Wisconsin prosecutor says he will not file charges against 3 high school students who gave their classmates brownies laced with a male enhancement supplement. Rock County District Attorney David O'Leary and Clinton Police Chief David Hooker say the students secretly laced the brownies with Zerexin and gave the brownies to their classmates as a senior prank. This was in May. 5 students got sick. O'Leary says the pranksters never intended to hurt their classmates. They have apologized and agreed to cover any medical expenses.
There was a small fire today at Camp Randall. Around 2:15 this afternoon, the fire department says 2 employees at the stadium saw a machine on fire and were able to put it out with a fire extinguisher. When crews arrived, the machine was still smoking. No injuries were reported. And in Lake Delton, fire crews are calling it the best case scenario after a fire at a furniture company today. That fire was spotted in a dust collector around 1:30 by an employee at Waterman Log Crafters. The Lake Delton fire chief says in total, 11 fire departments came to the scene because of a potential for an explosion.
Fine particles of the dust collector, when the dust is airborne, it becomes explosive. It can become explosive. So that's certainly a concern of ours. That did not happen here, thankfully.
He says the fire was contained to the dust collector and there were no injuries. The business should be open again tomorrow.
Well, we turn it over to weather now. Another beautiful day in southern Wisconsin. A little warmer than what we experienced over the weekend as we take a live look from our Edgewater Sky camera. We check in now with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti in the Weather Center. Gary?
Eric, the humidity levels also crept up a bit today, but that will just be temporary. I think we'll see a less humid day tomorrow. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud track. There's been plenty of sunshine, although some clouds have been developing through the afternoon hours, but they haven't been very widespread. And as far as rain, well, you got to look really hard to see it. A few sprinkles up in northern and northeastern Wisconsin. I think the best chances for a shower or thunderstorm are going to be this evening and mainly in areas north of Madison. Low temperatures this morning started out generally in the upper 50s to the middle to upper 60s. Here in Madison, we were one of the warm spots at 68. So far, temperatures have been in the mid to upper 80s. A few places have hit the 90-degree mark. Still in the upper 80s through much of southern Wisconsin. Dew point temperatures are also climbing. Notice the dew point in Madison now at 70 degrees, so it feels like 92 when you factor in the effects of humidity. But by tomorrow morning, temperatures will drop back into the middle 60s. Then we'll see a warm up tomorrow with high temperatures in the mid 80s, but with less humidity. It should only feel like between about 85 and 90. That's your first alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. Another $3.5 million has been awarded to more than 50 school districts across the state, including a few in our area. State Attorney General Brad Schimel made that announcement today, part of his school safety grant program. The Middleton Cross Plains District was awarded $220,000. Waunakee will receive $123,000. Milton, nearly $140,000. Beaver Dam, Lake Mills, Parkview, and Reedsburg also received money. All of that money will be used for safety upgrades. U.S.
Representative Mark Pocan is defending his push to abolish immigration and customs enforcement, or ICE, even though his fellow Democrat Senator Tammy Baldwin doesn't.
ICE has to be able to get confidence as the communities they go into. Right now, because they're seen as a deportation, the president's police force, the president's deportation force, the agency can't operate like they need to because the brand has been broken by the president's directives to them.
Senator Baldwin said today we should not abolish ICE. Instead, she says the agency should be focused on targeting violent criminals and drug traffickers, not families and refugees.
If you're looking for volunteer opportunities this summer, the Salvation Army of Dane County could use your help. The Summer Red Kettle campaign kicks off Saturday, and more than 80% of their shifts are open. Child hunger and evictions increase during the summer months in Dane County, so the money donated to the Red Kettles goes towards services like the food pantry and the diversion program, which keeps families out of shelters.
Picking up one shift can bring in an average of $100, which is enough to support a mother and her child, feeding them and giving them a place to stay for 3 nights. So one shift equals 3 nights of safety for a mom and baby formerly living on the streets.
27 locations across Dane County have Red Kettles. There are volunteer shifts open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. through July 28th. The American Red Cross in desperate need of blood donations, prompting what they're calling an emergency shortage. Red Cross officials warned of the emergency last week, saying more than 550 fewer blood drives were organized by businesses and other community groups last week. Officials said as people across the country celebrated the holiday, there were 15,000 fewer donations than needed.
Dane County will remove the slow no-wake orders on several area lakes tomorrow as water levels start to recede. The restrictions will be lifted at noon tomorrow for Lakes Monona, Waubesa, and Kaganza. The restriction will still be in effect in Squaw Bay on Lake Monona. Still to come tonight, a staggering statistic for farmers across the country.
When we come back, a local man's story as he fights his mental and financial battle. Stay with us. It is a problem that is ever increasing. Imagine trying to live on the same income you made more than a decade ago. That's what's become the driving force behind a staggering rate of suicide among farmers all across the nation.
The farm crisis is so bad that suicide rates are the highest in the nation in this line of work, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Our Jamie Perez spoke with a farmer who survived his attempt at suicide, hoping his story can bring more awareness to this growing concern and hopefully spark a movement.
Oh yeah, this is ready to go.
In the field of farming,
Flip it over, bail it up.
to an outsider, things might seem like a breeze. A calm life.
Wish dogs could talk.
Luscious green acres, but what we might not see from the outside is that farmers are at the mercy of elements that are often out of their control.
Honestly, I think it's lack of control.
Jeff knows this story all too well.
I just thought it'd be easier not to be here.
A survivor of an attempted suicide.
It's really hard to explain. There's still parts of that night that I don't 100% remember.
But he found a light that not everyone can see.
You know, you got to find those little things that make your job that much more enjoyable. And there's a huge sense of pride that goes along with that too. And I'm feeding 50-some people a day. So to me, that's pretty important. And I'd kind of like to keep doing that as long as I can.
The physical labor of farming goes hand in hand with the emotional labor. Jeff is only one example, speaking for dozens of others.
Farmers have had this thing where people look at them and you know, we're a proud folk, and we are. We do everything we do it to the best of our ability with as much pride and in what we do as we can. But pride doesn't pay the bills.
It's a plight farmers are facing across the nation. Imagine trying to live off a dwindling income where the price to sell your goods is less than the cost to produce.
That's a real struggle when you've got bills to pay and you're not bringing in nearly the income of what the expenses are. And it's a fluctuation on top of that too. Milk price never stays the same. Corn price never stays the same. Beans, you know, all the commodities are traded and those prices change all the time.
The uncertainty that grazes a staggering number of farmers like Jeff down a dead-end road.
Farming community is dwindling little by little by little. You know, the people are getting out of the industry because of the poor prices and stuff.
A fragile economy and the accumulating stress of feeding the country, yet struggling to make ends meet for themselves.
Every farmer that quits, you know, people say, well, you know, the family just lost their job. It's not just that. It's the feed salesperson. It's the fertilizer salesperson. It's the crop agronomist. There's so many other people that lose a customer and lose part of their livelihood too. And now that's money that's not being put back into the community. So on a local basis, I think it's a huge effect. On a global basis, I don't think they feel the effects yet, but I don't know that I want to go down that road where we do feel it on a global basis either.
In Argyle, Jamie Perez, WISC News 3.
And there's more to come tonight on News 3 at 6.
When we come back, if you're in the market for a new car, have you considered going electric? What you should know before buying. Next.
And in weather, after a warm and humid day today, we'll still be warm tomorrow, but the humidity levels should be down. I'll take a look at our first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Welcome back. Crude electric vehicles first appeared back in the mid-1800s, but it wasn't until the past few years, thanks in part to Elon Musk's Tesla, that they've gotten much more notice.
Now with rising gas prices, falling battery prices, and more affordable electric cars, more and more car buyers are at least shopping for a car you plug in. You might see MG&E's new Chevy Bolt zipping around town. The license plate, "Use no gas," gives it away. People are drawn to all electric plug-in and plug-in hybrid vehicles for a number of reasons. They are fun to drive, zero tailpipe emissions, so they are better for the environment, and they are 50% less expensive to drive and maintain than a regular gas car.
They like the way they drive. They like that they're cleaner. They like the fact that they can just charge overnight and not have to go to a gas station. Nobody likes getting gas.
The distance you can drive with these vehicles vary from 115 miles to over 333 before you need to plug it in. So is an electric vehicle a viable option for you? Find out tonight on News 3 at 10 as our Mark Kane goes over the pros and cons of going all electric.
Had that absolutely beautiful weekend. Things heating up a little bit. Certainly felt the humidity out there today, Gary.
Yeah, dew point temperatures are back to around 70, but it'll be a brief rise. We'll have a couple more days where the humidity starts to drop back. And then the end of the week, guess what? It all comes back again, and we have to deal with it. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud track. You can see some clouds have been developing up during the afternoon. It's not very widespread, and they're still allowing a fair amount of sunshine to come through, and there's not much in the way of precipitation associated with them. In fact, if we look at current temperatures, they're still in the mid to upper 80s statewide. Milwaukee right now at 90 degrees, but the dew point temperatures, they've been creeping upward. We're now at 70 in Madison. Much of southwestern Wisconsin seeing dew point temperatures at or above 70, and the rest of the state pretty much well into the mid 60s. But on Doppler track, you can see just a few sprinkles of rain in a narrow little line right along a cold front up to the north. That will bring at least a chance for a shower, mainly north of Madison this evening, but right now it's looking pretty iffy if we get any rain at all. Temperatures, though, are still going to remain warm, even though the humidity levels will drop. We'll be in the mid-80s for tomorrow and Wednesday, and then upper 80s on Thursday. Friday, a little better chance for some thunderstorms will keep us in the mid-80s. We could be close to 90 over the weekend before falling back into the middle 80s for the start of next week. Live view from the Platteville-Quebe Radio Skycam. Not much cloudiness over southwestern Wisconsin, so you can see the skies clear there. The WISC Skycam looking out toward the west shows a few clouds popping up, mainly cumulus clouds, and the Edgewater Skycam looking back toward the southeast shows mainly clear skies past the capital. As we check out the almanac, high temperatures so far 87 degrees, the low 68, and right now we're still at 87. Winds out of the west-southwest at 6 miles per hour give us a heat index of 92 with the humidity at 57%. We have a tropical storm just off the Carolina coast. This storm developed and has just really been sitting stationary. It kind of meandered over and then just kind of sat off the coast. It's Tropical Storm Chris, just below hurricane strength. Top winds right now 70 miles per hour, nearly stationary, moving eventually will take a path, at least according to the National Hurricane Center, toward the northeast and keep it away from the United States. It will probably strengthen into a hurricane with top winds of about 90 miles per hour. Even though the wind strength will stay strong, it'll turn into a tropical depression as it pushes through the northern portion of the Atlantic Ocean with cooler waters. It'll expand in size, so it'll be a threat to shipping, but right now it does not appear to be a threat to the United States. Around here, the jet stream sagging southward just a little bit. The cold front right about underneath the jet stream. So to the south, where the skies are clear, that's where the hot and humid weather is. To the north, it's just a little bit cooler, but even the main part of the jet stream, you can see in the Pacific Ocean, heads right northward into Canada. So that will keep our temperatures warm throughout much of the rest of the week. Here's the cold front I was talking about, and really there's not much in the way of precipitation along it. Even behind the front, temperatures are still in the mid to upper 80s, but the humidity levels drop. Notice the dew point temperatures in the 70s here, 60s to the north, and notice those winds out of the north there. That will start bringing in the drier air with time, especially later on tonight and tomorrow. So 66 for the overnight low temperature, just a slight chance for an evening shower or thunderstorm north of Madison. Then tomorrow we're back to the mid-80s, but it won't be as humid with partly sunny skies. On future track, the best threat for any showers and thunderstorms will stay to our north and east. Lows middle 60s tonight, high temperatures tomorrow, middle 80s with partly sunny skies. Tomorrow night we're back down into the lower 60s, and on Wednesday with plenty of sunshine, we're back into the mid to upper 80s. 7 to 10 day forecast calls for temperatures to remain in the mid to upper 80s through the end of the week, but there will be some shower and thunderstorm chances from Thursday night into Friday. Just a slight chance over the weekend, a little better chance early next week, and maybe a break in the heat toward the end of next week.
The Brewers already have 3 All-Stars, and they hope they'll get a 4th. The story's coming up in sports.
Hi, I'm Michelle Carolla. Tonight on the news at 9, President Trump will announce his choice for the Supreme Court. In just a few hours, we'll bring you the latest coverage. That's first on Fox at 9.
News 3.
The Brewers have started their 8-game road trip that'll get them to the All-Star break. 4 in Miami, 4 in Pittsburgh tonight against the Marlins. Chase Anderson is the Brewers' starting pitcher. Of course, the Brewers' Jesus Aguilar is one of 5 players who have a chance to get the last spot on the National League All-Star team. Fans could vote until Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central on MLB.com and some other sites. Aguilar, with his 20 homers and 59 RBI, has the best numbers of the 5, but a couple of big market guys will get their share of votes, too. Brewers, of course, have 3 All-Stars already. Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain, and Josh Hader were named reserves for the National League. The Brewers have the best record in the NL at 54-36. They have a game-and-a-half lead in the Cubs atop the National League Central. And the Brewers are in a great spot right now. But
I know we got a long way to go. You know, it's still early. You know what I mean? What is it, July? It's still, yeah, July, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I've played a few years now. I know that you got to finish strong. First half is great. You know, it's unbelievable the way we're playing right now. But at the end of the day, we got about, 70-some games left or something like that. And we got to go out here and continue to play well, enjoy the All-Star game. But second half start, go out there and get back to work.
the Madison Mallards won the first half of the South Division of the Northwoods League, but got off to a rocky start in the second half. In fact, the Mallards lost their first 5 games. Well, that changed in Battle Creek this afternoon. The Mallards won 3-0. A 5-hitter, Brian Morrell, Leon Hunter, and Nicholas Morales. The Mallards are now 1-5 in the second half. They'll host Kenosha tomorrow night, 7:05 at Warner Park. The Packers are going to have a big celebration of their 100th season on opening weekend, and today they announced a free concert the day before the opener against the Bears. The Steve Miller Band will perform outside Lambeau in a free concert Saturday, September 8th, starting at 7:30. Some of the youngins might not remember Evel Knievel, the great stuntman. Well, last night in Las Vegas, Travis Pastrana, the X Games star, recreated 3 of Knievel's greatest stunts, including jumping over the famous fountain at Caesar's Palace. Knievel wiped out and nearly died from his injuries back in 1975, but Pastrana made it 149 feet over the fountain and safely to the other side. Now, things weren't quite as smooth at the NASCAR Cup race in Daytona. You always worry about the big one? Well, here it is. Looks a lot cooler at night, too, doesn't it? A total of 20 cars were involved. The Daytona crowd cheered when Ricky Stenhouse got caught up in the wreck. Because the crowd was mad, Stenhouse had started 2 crashes earlier. The World Cup semifinals begin tomorrow. France and Belgium play in St. Petersburg. That's Russia, not Florida. They'll kick at 1 tomorrow afternoon, Madison time. Wednesday at 1, it's Croatia and England in Moscow. The World Cup final is Sunday in Moscow. And it was a rough day on the Cleveland-Oakland baseball telecast yesterday. Edwin Encarnacion hit a foul ball near the third base dugout. You know there's cameras there? Oh, boy. Final score, baseball 1, camera lens nothing. Now, how much would a Canon HD Digis Super 86 lens cost? Could go up to about $200,000.
No.
But NBC Sports California had another one and replaced it before the end of the game. So don't throw stuff at the cameras.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh,
That,
to
huh?
be able to nail that.
Yeah. And the cameraman didn't move. He didn't have time.
He just kept the camera in front of him.
Gary's back. One final check of the forecast.
You know, we're watching to see if there's going to be any rain tonight, but other than a couple of sprinkles up in northern Wisconsin, I think our chances for rain are pretty low, mainly north and east of Madison tonight. Current temperatures are still well into the 80s, 87 right now in Madison, with dew point temperatures around 70, and it feels more like temperatures are still in the lower 90s. But look for temperatures to be back in the middle 80s for tomorrow. We'll see those readings in the mid 80s for the rest of the week, upper 80s for the weekend, and still some humidity in there too.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Have a great evening. We'll see you back here at 10.
Download the new Channel 3000 app and get alerted on your mobile device the minute news breaks. Wherever you go, be the first to know with Channel 3000.